Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. We are smack dab in the middle of our pancreatic cancer fundraiser, and we have our next guest joining us. We have Warring. How's it going today, man?
Oh man, it's doing really good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a little warm for November here in Texas, but you know what? I'm not going to say no to 85 or whatever it is outside right now. So
Oh yeah, never saying no to the nice temperatures. I agree because I'm in Arizona and we are just hitting our stride with the nice weather.
nice, nice, nice.
Hmm.
So you're based out of Arizona, but you're originally from Utah, correct?
Originally from Utah. Yep, Salt Lake City.
Uh, Salt Lake City. How do you feel about Salt
Yeah.
Lake City finally getting a hockey team?
Oh, well, they stole it from Arizona, but in my personal opinion, we didn't deserve it here.
Hmm.
They left for good reason. They needed to find a good base, and I think Salt Lake City is a good home for a hockey team.
Right.
I just wish they had a hockey team when I lived there, but they had a really good team in the Grizzlies when I lived there, and we went there a bunch. So hockey's definitely gotten bigger in the last
Yeah.
probably 10, 15 years there.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure.
I'm
For
I'm
sure.
happy. I'm happy for the team, and definitely happy for Utah to get it.
Yeah. How often do
Yeah,
you get to go back to Salt Lake City? Do you still have family up there, or is it
yeah, I
everybody?
do. So Utah, my hometown. I spent a long time there, and I have family there, and I've got a lot of friends. I don't go back as often as I would like, but probably
Hmm.
once a year. I went
Okay.
like 2 months ago. Two
Fair
months ago,
enough.
and I try to go during the summer,
Yeah.
and so I don't have to deal with the snow because there's already snow there. They're already snowboarding and everything, and I grew up snowboarding. It's one of my loves, but
Hmm.
I don't like being cold anymore since I moved
Yeah.
to Arizona and
Yeah.
acclimated.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
everybody tells me. It's like I grew up in Chicago,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, when it snows here or it gets cold, they're like, "You're from Chicago, you're used to it," and it's like being used to it and liking
Yes.
it are two different things.
Hmm.
I
I
get
can
sick.
take it. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
take it. I can go out in the coldest of colds and be fine as
Yeah.
long as I'm bundled. But
Yes.
I that doesn't mean that I have to like it. But if I'm on a mountain, I'm snowboarding. Okay, now I'm good because I'm doing an activity that
Yeah.
I enjoy. But if I'm driving in it and there's
Yeah.
black ice and other drivers, it just takes all the fun away.
Oh yeah. It's like I
Yeah.
so when it snows and ices here in Texas, it's just like I don't go anywhere. Like if I see there's winter weather on the radar, it's like
Yeah.
I'm going to the store, work, I'm remote until this stuff goes away. I am not driving.
Hmm.
And they're like,
Right.
"You're from Chicago." And it's like, "Yeah, but you guys don't know how to treat your roads." So, no.
True. Yeah.
So,
It's the same
it
thing. Arizona, if it rains here, it's the same thing. People don't know how to
yeah.
drive in it. It's
Yeah.
like it's a blizzard, but it's not.
Right.
So
Right.
very similar.
So, how long have you been in Phoenix then at this point?
So I have been here 10 years.
Okay.
10 years. We came out and we came out for a job
Hmm.
in the government. And I can talk about it now because I don't do it anymore, but we came out here for the Secret Service.
Hmm.
And now we're staying here because we absolutely love it. And now this is my home.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is it was that shortly after you got out of the Air Force?
So I got out of the Air Force in 2004. Actually,
Okay.
I was stationed in Cheyenne.
Okay.
Another reason why I don't like snow anymore. So
Yep.
I loved snow, and then I moved to Cheyenne and spent a lot of time in really cold parts of
Hmm.
Wyoming and Nebraska, Colorado, and I think it did something psychologically to me.
Okay.
So then when I moved home, I was searching for like, okay, I need to move to a state that either has the ocean or somewhere that doesn't have snow. And
Yeah.
thank God Secret Service offered me some really good spots, but they offered us Phoenix. We have family from here, so we were able to select Phoenix, and it's been fantastic.
Nice. That's really cool. And so
Yeah.
where does music kind of come into play? Was this something you were doing before you got into Secret Service and Air Force and all that stuff, or is this a little bit more of a more recent thing?
Yeah, I guess it has been probably since I was about 20, 21.
Hmm.
We were sitting around in the Air Force dorms, and if I can recall, we went around the room because we were doing like, hey, let's start a band. I was like, start a band. because there's one guy who plays guitar, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, well, we need a singer. And they started going around the room, and I was like, well, I'm better than that guy. And that guy was like, all right, you're going to be our lead singer. I'm like, I think I can sing that better than him. And it was probably like Green Day or Bush or something like
Yeah.
that. I can't remember what it was, but they're like, after I sang, they're like, whoa. And I was kind of like, whoa, all right, let's do this. So me and the guy who played guitar just started a band, and we started playing a bunch of covers. And then I borrowed my sister's guitar from Utah and took it back to Wyoming with me. And that's when I really started. And then I was in rock bands for a while when I moved back to Utah, to Salt Lake City.
Mhm.
I went to school. I went to school for 6 years, and then I got my job with Secret Service. And for the last before, when I was, we started a family and raised kids. And so for about 10 years, I didn't do much with music. I just played my guitar every now and again. And then 2020 happened, and I found myself at home with a lot of time on my
Mhm.
hands. It's like you work from home finally, because my job is not really a job that works from home.
Yeah.
And then everybody was forced to go home. We were one of the last to kind of go home. And then I would do my work, and I'm like, well, I've got the whole day left because we can't go out and do anything. So
Mhm.
that's when I started writing. I was always writing, kind of writing on the road and in the stairwells and stuff. And when I was on the job, just like, I love my iPhone because it's got the voice memos, it's got lyrics where I can write everything.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, that is, my kids were a little bit older, and I could finally find some time to write, record. And I recorded songs in my son's closet. So
Nice.
yeah, I just bought a bunch of stuff on Amazon and started writing and recording, and ever since then it's just been going, and it's
Nice.
built, and I absolutely love it.
Nice. So Amazon came in
Mhm.
clutch during the pandemic.
Amazon came in clutch and still comes in clutch a little bit too much.
Fair.
So yeah, definitely.
I have to be careful because if I'm not paying attention, I'll just start buying things on Amazon and then I get the bill back and it's like,
Hmm.
oh crap. Shouldn't have done that, but oh
Whoops.
well. There
Yeah,
we go.
same.
So
Exactly. Yeah, these pair well together. You should buy them together. I'm like, yeah, I should buy these together. So I
I'm
have the same
losing
thing,
money
especially
if
when
I
it comes.
don't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you buy, like, that's where I get majority. I get a really good deal on my. I always buy Martin guitar strings, and they have a
Yeah.
really good bundle with that. So can't beat it.
Yeah. I remember one time I was out in New Mexico, or I lived out in New Mexico for a few years, and
Hmm.
one of the bookstores slash music stores was going out of business. And they were like, oh, we're slashing deals on everything. And they had
Hmm.
guitar strings for 50% off. And I was like, I'm
Gosh.
going to buy all these guitar strings. And
Yeah.
I was like, because at that time we were doing like acoustic recordings. And
Yeah.
every once in a while, you'd have musicians that would break a string and then they didn't have a extra set. So it'd be like, here, we got them
Yeah.
for you. Right. And come to find out, I was ending up paying regular price because at this bookstore, they doubled the price anyways. So 50%
Oh
off
my
wasn't really,
gosh.
I was just like, well,
Wow.
that's just how it went. So yeah.
Yeah, that's actually genius marketing, right? I guess
Mhm.
that's salesmanship at its finest,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure.
to make you think you're getting a deal, and then you actually like, actually, I'm getting these for the normal cost. So
Right.
that's nice. Yeah.
Isn't that how they work a full holiday after Thanksgiving?
Yes, 100%. They do. Yeah.
That's so funny. Um, so I take it for the Air Force, you were based out of Wyoming. Is that accurate? Or
Yeah.
were
Yep.
okay?
Yep. I was at FB Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Nice, nice. And
Hmm.
how was that experience for you? Because obviously, kind of dipping your toes in with a band during
Yeah.
your time in the service. Did you find it was beneficial towards your music, or did you find it kind of hindered your music at the time?
Um, we weren't very serious.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, we weren't very serious. We mostly, like most of the guys, started it just to say we were in a band.
Okay,
And for me, it was kind of, that was the launching pad. For me, I then went and I took vocal lessons
mm,
and started, just, I never really stopped writing. So for me, it was definitely a launching pad of like, whoa, I really enjoy music,
yeah,
and I really enjoy singing. So that was kind of the launching pad. And I would say I had a lot of time. Yeah, there was times when we were in and out of the field and we'd have training days and stuff too.
Yeah.
But there were other guys who had bands and stuff. So Air Force was, it was a fantastic life experience.
Nice.
But I was ready to get out when I got out.
Fair. Fair. And how many years were you in?
4 years.
4 years? Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what position did you have in the Air Force? Or
So I was security forces, and
Mhm.
it's basically military police. Army and
Okay.
Navy call it military police, but Air Force has to be different, and they called it used to be security police, and now it's security forces.
Gotcha. Cool.
And
Cool. And
that helped me with my career transition and aspirations for being in law enforcement.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And is
Mhm.
that what you're doing now? Are you still in law enforcement, or are you a full-time musician?
So I do musician stuff on the side, and
Mhm.
then the most I can say is I work for the government.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
You got it. Yeah.
Fair enough. So how's your music been going recently? I know you just released a new song last month. Um,
Mhm.
what can you tell us about it?
Music is going awesome right now. Right now, I'm in full swing. I'm doing more than probably I've ever done. And I released Stranded, a single
Mhm.
called Stranded. I've been waiting on that one for a long time, and results. It's getting a lot of good feedback out there. It's getting a lot of plays, added to a lot of playlists. And for me, I'm not a big numbers guy because I'm a Christian first. I'm a dad. I'm a husband, and so for those things, this is just extra icing on the cake for me. So it's cool to see that people like the songs. And then, as you said, I do have another couple songs coming out that I'm very excited about. They are being mastered right now. So I have three
Nice.
more songs coming out that I'm trying to release before the end of the year. And I know, like, as an artist, you're supposed to stick to timelines and whatnot like that. But again, I'm doing this all by myself. This is
Yeah.
grassroots stuff, and I'm not taking it as serious as a lot of people do because I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
And it
Absolutely.
is not my full-time gig, and it's fun for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. I write and release a lot of songs. I could write and release a lot more music at my speed, but it takes a long time getting and recording and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. It's
Hmm.
really cool to kind of see how musicians are doing it right now, as far as like,
Yeah.
especially very DIY. It's refreshing in a lot of ways to kind of see that
Hmm.
musicians are realizing, yes, labels and distribution and
Yeah.
all this stuff might make things a little bit easier, but the struggle of doing it yourself and kind of putting your own stuff out there, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, the benefits outweigh the challenges. So,
I think you're exactly right. And we've seen that with so many independent, like original music. We've seen so many people stay independent because they
mhm,
realize that they reap all the benefits
mhm,
and they don't really need that. And for me, I don't know enough about it. But I
yeah,
like seeing the success stories of the independent artists who are doing
mhm,
really well and still enjoying what they do.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Uh,
so yeah, that is something that I'm more interested in is producing more, and
mhm,
I've been able to do that with my music lately and add more of the band stuff, which is really cool. I've added fiddle and banjo and dobro, and the stuff I used to release was just me on guitar, which I still
yeah.
love, but it's cool doing the band stuff too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Who are you listening to right now that's kind of being more of an inspiration to you musically, kind of speaking?
The list is so long. When you first said it, the first person, the first band I thought of, which is really kind of a solo guy, is Josiah and the Bonnevilles.
Hmm.
Absolutely love him, love everything he's doing. Another guy who's like um, super like encouraged by his fan base and very thankful. I love 49 Winchester. They're another
Hmm.
great band that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Zach Bryan was super influential to me. I still love his music. I can't believe how much music he puts out at a time.
Hmm.
It's incredible. And I love seeing that too because you've seen it. Like a lot of artists are putting out singles where
Hmm.
like people like Zach Bryan and Morgan Wallen are putting out double release songs and
Yep.
albums, and it's super cool to see that there's still kind of that vintage old albums still coming out. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, those are some of my favorites. And I love listening to singer-songwriter stuff. And
Oh yeah.
that's kind of my jam.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of funny you brought that up because it's like, I guess that would be like the one benefit to having a distribution or a record label behind you
Uh-huh.
is in the speed. Like if you can write that much in the speed that some musicians are releasing singles, you could
Yeah.
release full albums, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes. And
it,
I don't know if it, I don't know the code or how it works. You know, I know they have a fan base and
mhm,
they have people ready to receive it. And because they're incredibly good and people are ready for something like that. But yeah, there's a lot of artists who are trying to earn more while they're putting out singles. So I never like,
mhm,
if people are putting out singles, that's great. Keep
mhm.
putting them out.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because every release is a swing at the next step, you know, like whatever that next step is. So
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So Stranded is your current single out. What's the
Yes.
story behind this song?
The story behind Stranded, it's kind of just like a breakup song. Um, and I'm a super happy guy. Not a lot of breakup stuff, but it's probably because I don't know. I've kind of associated and my wife always, I've had a very happy marriage. My wife's always like, people are gonna think that I'm so mean to you because you write these breakup songs. Well, the breakup songs are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So it has nothing to do with my personal life or anything like
Yeah.
that. I just find such a good story in all the classics of the old heartbreak songs, like the
Mm,
Hank Juniors, the Johnny
mm,
Cashes, you know,
yeah.
like those type of stories. The Zach Bryans, like those are my jams. And it's just a story. It's not a story about me, but I think we've all felt heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I felt heartbreak in my personal life, whether it was from like a relationship with a friend or at work or in the military or something like that.
Mm.
So that's probably where it comes from.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you're seeing a really huge resurgence of men or male
Yeah.
singers kind of doing these kind of songs because you know I feel like for the longest time that the breakup song was more synonymous with like female singers and that's the type of stuff they were releasing. And now you've
Yes.
got a lot of independent musicians that are blowing up on Instagram, TikTok,
Yeah.
and like all these social platforms and they're doing these like breakup
Right.
songs that are like that just hit like right here
Right.
in the heart, you know?
Hmm.
So it's
I
really
think
interesting.
people are responding to the people being honest. People
Mm-hmm.
respond to honesty, and if guys can talk about it in a way that's like, "Hey, this is what happened to me. This is honest and direct," and if they can put it, you know, down well, like the way they can just capture exactly what's happening to them,
Mm-hmm.
those are the types of songs that I love the most too.
Mm-hmm.
When
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it is raw, sometimes it's
Oh,
raw, and they're just telling it exactly how it is, and I think that's the best song.
oh yeah, for sure. Some of the most frequently played songs on my Spotify playlist are those songs exactly. They may not be
Mm-hmm.
uh exactly breakup songs, but they're real honest songs about
Yes,
emotions that they're going through, you know? So
exactly. Right.
uh so you'd mentioned that you've got a few more songs kind of in the pipeline that you're ready trying to get out. Is it all building? Are you trying to get them all out as like an EP, or do you kind of see them staying as singles right now?
So, great question. I've gone back and forth, and I know a lot of people do, but my plan is to do an EP.
Okay.
An EP, like you said, with these next three songs, and I'll probably do 3 to 5 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and that will be my first EP. And that way, that gives
Nice.
a bigger sample of who I am, right? It's who I am as a songwriter, as an artist. And I've done singles every single time I've released pretty much, but this time my plan is to do an EP and say, hey, here's a little bit more of me, and here's a
That's
sample. Yeah,
that's
and
that's
each
sweet.
song is each song is a little bit different. You know, it's I say country-ish, just because that's kind of the vein I'm in, but it's
Mm,
country, folk, and rock, alternative. I don't know.
mm.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a
It's
collection.
it's like right in line with what a lot of music is right now. Is it's like
Mm.
it's a collection of stuff you grew up on, essentially. Like
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I've said this several different times throughout the podcast over the last year, even more so. It's like a lot of these young musicians that are coming up. It's they grew up in households where dad listened to rock and roll and hip hop, mom listened to pop and country,
Right.
and then you got your friends that listen to other things, and
Mhm.
it's just like you got this amalgamation of influences, which it makes music really interesting right now.
Right. That's
So,
exactly right. And that's no different from how I was raised.
mhm,
My parents were definitely rock and rollers. So
yeah,
we had a lot of Rolling Stones and the
mhm,
Beatles and Jimi Hendrix, but then they also loved Hank Williams Jr. and
yeah,
Johnny Cash and the Highwaymen. So I had a
yeah,
really good musical upbringing.
mhm,
My family's they're not a lot of us are musical, but my grandparents really were. So I think that's where it comes from for me.
nice, nice. And
Mhm.
was your grandparents like your first introduction to music essentially?
I think so. Yeah. To people who played. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, they were definitely like piano players,
mhm,
and horn and saxophone players. So
yeah,
yeah, they were definitely my first exposure to like, oh, people in my family play music. That's cool.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Awesome. So how's the scene out in Phoenix? Is the independent scene thriving pretty good right now, or?
I would say, yeah, yeah, it is. It took me some time to kind of get more into it because
Hmm.
I only play every now and again. I definitely play once a month, but there's people who are really playing a lot out here,
Hmm.
and the scene's awesome. I'll tell you, there's a lot of talent, and I'm a big champion of others.
Hmm.
I like sharing anything. I'm not like an ego guy. I'm like, whoa, your new song's incredible, or you guys play a good show. So for me, getting to be kind of a fan of all the local
Hmm.
music is kind of more where I'm at. And I've got a lot of buddies and buddies that I play with, and more things. People who are actually coming up. Like I'm going to release a cover of Rolling Stones' "Wild Horses,"
Hmm.
and I'm doing that with another local artist here. So I'm stoked to play more with local artists here and definitely be more of a champion of the scene.
Nice. That's really cool.
Yeah. Hmm.
Phoenix has always had a real interesting scene. Like
Hmm.
it, we were talking before we jumped on here about the trip out to Tucson that's coming up, and actually
Yeah.
Phoenix was going to be it was going to be where we went instead of Tucson, but I couldn't get into a
Uh-huh.
venue out in Phoenix because you know
Yeah.
Phoenix is a happening place. And so I had
Yeah.
a buddy that just happens to live in Tucson. I was like, you mean I'm going to save a 2 hours on the car ride? So let's do it,
Yes.
you know? Um,
100%. And Tucson's got a great scene too.
oh yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Phoenix was because I like all I had for Tucson, it was a little bit harder. Like I had to ask some people like, hey, who do you
Yeah.
recommend?
Hmm.
Phoenix, it would have just been a Facebook post and I would have had 7 people like, yeah, we're in, let's go. So,
Right.
you know,
Okay. Well, let me know next time because I could try and help you with the Phoenix
oh yeah,
stuff.
it's
Yeah.
we're looking at the springtime is going to be the
Nice.
next new move out to well, not the move out to Phoenix, but like the next
Yeah.
run. So we're gonna
That'd
do
be
some stuff.
fantastic too.
Yeah, we're gonna do some stuff a
Yeah.
little bit closer to Texas and New Mexico, and then
Yeah.
April, May. Yeah. So
I love seeing everything that you've done with what was it called live? The jam
oh
in the
the
van.
oh no that was a music festival.
That, yeah.
In a jam down by the river. That was a music
That's right. In a
festival.
jam down by the river. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a music festival down in near in between Austin and San Antonio.
Hmm. Right.
And then the Musical Outlaw podcast. It was just kind of I like branding things differently and people get
Yes.
annoyed by
Yeah.
it, but it is what it
I
is.
think it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You get to choose to do that, and that makes it unique, right?
yeah.
And then
Oh yeah.
that section you can make unique to that, and then you
Mm,
can call something else whatever's up and coming your next. It's like an album, right?
yeah.
Or it's like a
Abs-
song release. Like you get to name it what you want.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really looking forward to that trip and it'll be
Mhm.
fun. It'll be exciting. So
Cool.
but
I'm
I'll
excited to
keep
hear
you in the
about it.
loop on Phoenix and yeah.
Yeah, please do.
Um, so as far as for you, what's kind of the plans looking for the rest of the year? Obviously, you'd
Mhm.
mentioned you're hoping to get the rest of your music out or the next few songs out before the end of the year, but what's kind of
Yeah.
the plan?
Plans, definitely get that EP out. And then I do want to kind of follow it up with an album release in January and potentially do my best songs all together.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way I can give like a full, like everything I've done, my most favorite songs to a collection. And then I've got a couple covers coming out. So I want to release that as well. I'm hoping to release that by the end of the year, if not January. But
Nice.
that one should be cool. We're doing fiddle and pedal steel on that one, just getting it finished up too. So, and then for shows and stuff, I'd like to play. Last year, or actually this year in the summer, I got to do a small tour in California with Red Farron. That was
Nice.
pretty awesome. I got hooked up with my buddy Six Strings for Freedom, and they love military, law enforcement, first responders. They give back to their local community.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite things that I did this last year. So if I can do something like that again, I'm going to aim towards doing that because that was incredible and for a great cause.
Yeah, for sure. It's you know, it's one of those things, like ever since I started doing more industry leading things, I've been introduced to more cool causes. I met this guy, Scotty Hastings.
Scotty Hastings.
Yeah. And he's kind of been showing me some of the stuff he's been doing, and it's like, talk about like just some really cool stuff that, especially coming out of the military and going into the music industry, just some of the stuff that's there is really cool. So
absolutely. Scotty Hastings is very hardworking, incredible music, and he's backed by an agency called Operation Encore. And they've signed like mostly veterans or like spouses of veterans. And I actually got to go to Zach Brown Band's Camp Southern Ground last year. It was like 2 years ago. I don't know. It runs together. But I got to go to a really cool thing called Warrior Song, and it was a bunch of veteran songwriters. Nice. And we went there, and there was a bunch of experts and people from Nashville. And it was one of the coolest experiences ever. And for me, it wasn't about like promoting me there. I was just happy to be among the other veterans that I got to hear talk and sing. And then I became such a fan of them. And so now, like, I listen to their music on Spotify, follow them on social media. And Scotty Hastings did that before. I think he did it in the class before me. Yeah. And then they have since picked him up, and they told us all about like his upcoming album release and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's cool to see the path of especially a lot of the veteran guys who have a story like he does, which is incredible.
Yeah, for sure. We might have to offline that one because I've always been a big supporter of the military, and like especially having the two worlds kind of combined, because like my grandpa served in, both my grandparents or grandpas served in World War II, and one of them actually went into Korea. And you know, it was one of those deals where after 9/11 I was like, I want to join the military, but I was born with cerebral palsy, so I was kind of like automatically, you know, disqualified from that one. Yep. And because after that, we'd get like military recruiters in high school, because I graduated in 2005. So every year it was like, or every semester or whatever, it'd be like, oh, the Marines are here, the Air Force, you know, just like whoever was there. Yeah. And I always went and talked to the Air Force guy. I was like, there's anything I could ever do, or if there's ever any way to kind of get this in, because my dad's a pilot and I've always loved aviation. Nice. So it's like, Air Force would be really cool, but just didn't work out. So
and I'm a firm believer in God's timing and the doors that he opens. And for me, I thought I wanted to be a Marine. I went to the Marines first. And, you know, there were times when the Marines and Army came to my high school. And at the time I was like, I'm not interested. And then I actually went in 2000. So it was before September 11th. But I went to the Marines first, and it wasn't a right fit. And then I went to the Army, and also it wasn't a right fit. I can't get into specifics, but then I went to the Air Force, and I felt like it was more of an audition. I felt like, well, we'll take you if you make it and if you pass these things. And I was like, okay. And then they told me a little bit more about what my future and career would look like. And so Air Force was a good fit for me. It wasn't a good fit for life. I did my 4 years when I got out, and it's been such a blessing for me. I'd do it again. Every day was hard, but I would do it again because, like you said, you know, that service. And my grandpas, they both served too.
Yeah.
And I enlisted because I felt like I owed a debt to people to give me the choice whether or
Hmm.
not to serve or not.
Yeah.
So that is definitely, I love my country. I love the military, and they're definitely foremost on my heart for things.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose to join at 18.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, I would have if I could have, but
Yeah, for
that's just
sure.
kind of where life took me. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah.
But so kind of show wise, do you how many more shows do you have booked out for the rest of the year?
I only have one. I got
Okay.
one coming up next weekend, and that's here, that's locally. But that will set me up to get everything ready for release and do kind of the administrative part, which
Hmm.
nobody likes doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but that will give me time to actually do it better and make my
Nice.
releases better with everything that I need to do. So I got the one show, and then I'll start planning for 2025, which 2025 I plan on doing more releases. I did the most releases. I was just thinking about this before the call. I've done
Yeah.
my most releases I've ever done this year in 2024.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I am
Yeah.
super excited. I only did one song last year, and then this year I don't even know. I'd have to count them, and I'm not good at math. So
Yeah.
um, I've released a lot more. So I've definitely
Oh yeah.
been more involved this year, and
Oh yeah.
I'm planning on 2025 being even more.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of musicians had a lot of momentum in 2024, or creatives in
Mm-hmm.
general. And rolling
Yes,
into 2025, it's going to be interesting. Like,
I think so.
as you know, as long as we keep the momentum rolling, like normally for us, we do somewhere between 100 and 125 podcasts a year. And this year, I think we're at 268.
Whoa, that's
And
incredible.
yeah, and next year I'm aiming to do one a day. Like I
Yeah.
set the goal of a podcast every day and just
Uh-huh.
kind of keep this momentum rolling. So
I think that's an incredible goal, right? And we got to
yeah,
keep getting better. So you
yeah,
got to beat your numbers from last year for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
goals are absolutely a big thing to have.
oh yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like I don't think I could keep up releasing a podcast every day forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I that feels unrealistic. But if I can do it for the next year and I could show myself like, hey, you can do it, and just kind of figure out have a good baseline of like analytically, because I'm very analytically driven. Like I like looking at the analytics of things and just kind of having
Mm-hmm.
a good baseline of okay, Tuesday mornings, that's when everybody's like really in. That's when we
Mm-hmm.
need to release. So
Tuesday, is that real? Is that a real
no,
thing? Tuesday
that was
mornings
just
when everybody's tuned in?
that's just a day that I threw out there. But like just
Yeah.
if
Okay.
like if I go back and look at the analytics, like that
Sure.
I could find that out if I have a good
Yeah.
baseline. So
Hey, that's the thing. Apparently, flights are cheaper on Tuesdays. I don't know.
yeah.
There's a rhythm to everything, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
So, especially, we as artists and podcasters putting out product and stuff like that, then you do and digging through your analytics is actually part of administration. And it's a good
yeah.
business practice.
Oh yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. So, but I really appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you here too
Oh, yeah.
much longer. Um,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to check out your music, social media shows, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Best place for me right now, I've got a link tree. That's on my Instagram. Go find me on Instagram. I'm under my middle name. It's Waring, Waring. And you can find my Spotify, my Apple. I'm on all the platforms there. And that's the best place to connect with me. I think I'm the most present on Instagram. And so if you need to chat or you need prayer or you need a high five, I got you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I, I think Instagram's the best place to be right now.
Me
Just,
too.
just my unofficial opinion. So,
Same, same.
but,
I feel like
uh,
it's real and a little more organic.
oh yeah, for sure. Especially from a platform that started off as being fake and just kind of
Uh-huh.
representing the best side of yourself. Now you're kind of seeing that 180 where it's like it's probably the most real thing you got out there. So
True. I agree
yeah,
with that. Well,
but
yeah. Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back here in a little bit with our next guest.